Rochelle White, welcome. Bola Luro, Eric Osadolo, Shegun Fatumo, Modupe, Mati Miloju. Wow, what a name. I like that one. That's easier for me to pronounce. Mati Miloju. And I think I even understand the meaning. It means don't disgrace me, I think. You think I'm right? Don't disgrace me.
So don't put me to shame.
Yeah? Perfect. Oh, don't put me to shame. Okay, I think it's the same. Daniela Senga, Sagad Sandu, Omon Nike, Anne-Marie, Boss Pepe Ramnath, Ojekwa Israel, Dr. Sufficient is here, Adeola Disu, Shigo Mwafo. Yes, today is Paul's birthday, and they are here. Paul is here, and the sister. So, hello, girls.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. So we are going to start our fellowship today by listening to Zoe. Zoe has to start. Then we'll listen to Paul after Zoe. Paul is Paul's day, but it's, yesterday we had a time with Perez when he was giving his assessment and how being in the family, growing up with his junior sister has been a blessing to him. So I also want us to listen to Zoe today so that she could tell us how growing up with Paul has been a blessing to her as well. So Zoe, here we come. Hi.
Hello. So I list 10 things I learned from my sister living with her. So the first thing that came to mind was patience, because people can always frustrate you no matter who they are, but when you live with them and you have to share things with them
you don't have any option.
take responsibility for them and everything, like they're gonna frustrate you a lot more often. But to frustrate you, annoy you, and anger you, and you have to learn how to control your feelings, how to be the bigger person, how to not act out on your negative emotions, but to find out a way to politely tell them that it's bothering you and please ask them to stop. And then you can work out a compromise so that you don't annoy each other and you work out through the problem. But it always requires a lot of patience, because it's easier to get frustrated more quickly with the people who are closest to you. It's easier to lash out on them because you take them for granted that they're always with you and around you. But they're still human beings. They're not just, she's not just my sister, she's also a friend and a daughter and a child of God, and she's her own individual. So I have to treat her like a person and not just like a younger sister. So patience. It also helped me understand how parents look at us and teachers look at their students, responsibility and authorities. Next point is, don't be a hypocrite. Like, it's easy to correct others, but then you can make the same mistakes without noticing it and without correcting yourself. So being an older sister, for some reason, I have this critical eye of her, and every time she does something to annoy me, I point it out. But then she points it out when I do the same thing. So it doesn't make sense. And also, when you understand that you both make the same mistakes, like I said, you can compromise, but it also helps to understand that we're going through the same thing, and it helps to be more gentle with them.
Brilliant. So you become more considerate, really.
Yes.
Okay.
As the next point, like as the years go by, the more time spent with each other, the more I realize that how much we're alike and how much we're related in more ways than one. We're sisters, we have the same blood, have the same family name, come from the same family, but we also have the same mannerisms. And some things that I like didn't necessarily like about her, some things that I have the same traits sometimes. I have the same flaws and we have the same tendencies. So sometimes it's like looking at her are the things, sometimes I see the parts of me that I don't see that often, or parts of me that I
don't like to see.
Yeah, I don't like to see. So it helps to like accept her fully and accept myself fully and to face myself in my entirety, not just the image I like to see. And the next point is that I'm always being observed. Here, as we were growing up, they always tell the younger siblings to take example from their older siblings. And she took that to heart a lot. And most of the times, whenever, like I told you before, every time I make the same mistakes I scold her about, she tells me about it. But when she talks to other people about me or things that I've done, she says things that I don't think she pays attention to. Or I don't think she has thought that much about some things that I do or some things that I said. But it helps to be more cautious and to keep myself more straight, because to know that her eyes are always watching me, even when I think that my life is my own and everything, and my actions are my responsibility, but I'm still a big impact and example for her. So
the point is.
So I want to be watching and to like remember that she's looking up to me, and I have to be an example for her.
And it's an example. It's an indicator of how our life is with the world as well. That you are being watched, not by just the person close by you, but by the world around as well.
But the person close to me opened up to me and helped me understand how I'm being watched.
Yeah, good.
The next point is how the love between my sister and I and all family members are like unexplainable and unconditional. Like if you ask why you love them, like you can't say why. Like we were born loving each other. And like I tried to look at her. If she wasn't my family, how would I treat her differently? And like maybe I've tried to stay away from her. Maybe we would have been friends. But no matter how much I look at her as a person, she's still my sister. And no matter what anybody else can say who is not part of family and might point out all her flaws and everything, I'll still love her and defend her because she's my sister. So that's something I learned, that it's possible to have like the strong, unexplainable love. Doesn't need any unconditional love. Doesn't need any like reason or scientific backup or anything.
Okay. What number was that?
That was the 5th.
Okay.
The next one, the 6th, is how I had to work and Pearl had to work to get closer to each other. Because just because we're born in the same house and raised together doesn't mean we'll necessarily get along. Doesn't mean that we're close and don't get angry at each other. And over the time, I had to like set a goal for myself that I want to have a better relationship with my sister. And I thought of the future and how I don't want to have all these years of being able to have a close relationship and then just leave the house and not having much to say about my own family. So I took steps to spend more time together, talked about mutual interests, we listened to each other, and we got closer and closer to each other. I think I learned that I had to, just because it's assumed that we're close, or just because it's expected that we get close, you still have to work for relationships, not only friends who are outside your family, but also in your family who are always with you. Great. The next point, 7th point, like I mentioned this before, like we have a big impact on our siblings. Like even the things that they don't notice, they might have picked up habits from us, and the things that they do or say, they might have like learned some new catchphrases or some new, gotten some ideas from you, from what you said, just by spending time with you. For example, I think one time, I had an idea, like as a joke, that I would like, she'd write my songs and I'd sing my songs one time. And it was a joke, but she took it to heart. And when I told her it was a joke, she actually like got hurt and offended. And I didn't know because I didn't realize it. Because when I was singing, I was just joking, kidding around. But like everything you do to the people who look up to you, especially family members, had to be more cautious and careful because, like I said, they look up to you. When you look up to someone, everything they say, you take them slightly more to heart, and you get more affected by them, by the words that they say. The next point, the 8th point I learned from my sister, When Ukraine was like going through some hard times, she started getting into politics, and she started self-educating herself. And that year, she also started learning Ukrainian history in school. So she became very educated in politics and Ukrainian history and history of Europe in general and politics of different countries. And it's like a wonder to see that before she didn't know any of this stuff. Before she didn't pay attention to this, and she occupied herself with other things. And now she's turned into this woman who is educated and she knows and aware and everything. So it shows that showed me that nothing can stop you from attaining the skills or the traits or the characteristics that you need or becoming who you want or need to be. That's something she showed me. Just because people don't expect her to know stuff doesn't mean she won't know stuff or that she won't go out of her way to learn things. The next point, 9th point. As I look at my sister and myself, I mentioned before that I see similarities, but I also see differences. Like, for example, she is naturally more openly kind and openly loving to people, while I am kind in a more backstage way. Like, I try to help from behind the scenes, while she tries to act on stage and help openly. And she has different values and traits that what she was born with, and I have different values and traits that I was born with. And it helped me understand that some people, God gave them specific things for their purpose, what they need. And of course, it's good to attain new skills and characteristics, but the ones that you're born with are always going to be your strong points.
Yeah.
Because no matter how angry she is, or where she's been through, or how she's changed over the years, she always had the same core values that God has put in her. She was always kind to people, and she always liked to make people smile, and she always liked to smile. And my last point is, like I said before, people who are close to you and people who are around you and you grow up with, we have a tendency to take these people for granted. But like I said, there are their own people, there are individuals, they can be seen as more than just one view. Like Pearl's more than just a little sister. And I have to view her not as just a little sister, but as a person full of different potentials who can help people in different ways. And not, because if I look at her just a little sister, and with my big impact, she might feel like she's always inferior to someone, for example, or that she always has to obey someone or please someone. But looking at her as a person, I could see things that I couldn't see when I was looking at her as a younger sister. Yeah, those are my points.
Good job.
Happy birthday, girl.
Thank you.
Have you told her happy birthday?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Okay, thank you very much, Zoe. You can go and do your own work now. And you need to sit in Zoe's place, Pearl. And so, Pearl,
Yes.
today is your birthday. You are 14 today. You know, in agreement with our family policies, we didn't have any event today. No birthday cake, no congratulation cards, no gifts, nothing. That could be strange for some families, but we have birthday or we have gifts every day. We have love and attention to each other on daily basis, and we don't want to build our relationships on gifts and on external things, but on eternal things instead of on external things. So, but you are in school. I'm sure you are able to take some gifts for your school, for your class, and so. But 14, that's making you to be very, very big girl at 14. 14 is making you to be an adult almost, an adult really, an adult already, yes. So as an adult or young adult, what is it about your 14th birthday? What have you learned so far? Or what are you thinking? What are you experiencing on your 14th birthday? And what are the things going through your mind? And what are you planning for the future? And what are the lessons from the past? And Just what are the things that are going on in your mind, in your life, in your subconscious about, or your consciousness about, this time and period of your life?
Well, well, I have lots of thoughts going through my head. I'm thinking about many things, and I wrote down many things. But one of the things that I'm realizing on my 14th birthday is one of the things that Daddy mentioned, and that is like that. Even though we didn't have any big birthday cake or any big event or any big party, like I feel like truly satisfied, and I really don't need anything. Because people kept asking me, "What do you want for your birthday?" and "What do you want for your birthday?" But like, I'm truly blessed by God, and I'm truly blessed to have a family like this because I just am not in need of anything. Even when I had some problems with technology, we were able to find a compromise without wasting any money. And like my relationship with God is improving, and I'm planning to do more blogging and more writing in the future. I'm just very, very happy right now, and I feel like from here on I'll be able to attain more knowledge and become more mature and become closer to God and hear His voice more and more clearly.
Okay. So, so what are the things lessons from your life or that you are learning in your life that you would like to share with the people who are watching us today?
So the first lesson that I thought of from just living with my family, listening to what my parents said, and just living life is that you should always try to improve and self-educate yourself. Um, well, I'm blessed to be in a family where I can receive an education, not only in school subject, but spiritual education too. And my relationship with God is encouraged, and I have lots of truth that I can delve into every day at church or whenever Daddy or Mom are talking, or I just have a really
Through research.
yeah. So like even if I didn't do anything, I really just do have lots of places where I can learn. But I think it's very important to not just learn what is fed to you like at school or what you just hear going through life, but that you should always go and research and you should always go and read books and you should develop your own brain because like we all have a whole amount of potential. If we are born a person, then we have so many things at our disposition. If we're born as an able human being, then we can basically do everything in this world. Everything is available to us. And there's so much potential in us, but it might get overshadowed by something, and we might never realize it. But if we're developing our brains, and if we're getting more knowledge, and if we're applying the knowledge and making it understanding and making it wisdom, then we'll be able to develop ourselves and to just build a path to the potentials inside of us. And we'll be able to get closer to success because we have some of the knowledge that we need for it, because some knowledge you need for life, it won't just be taught to you in a textbook. You have to discover it yourself, or you have to learn it the hard way. There's many things that you have to learn to live a successful life, or just to get through life, to get through the world. So I think it's really important to always self-educate yourself. And of course, self-education is a form of improvement, and you should always be improving yourself because we are humans. We're made in God's image, but we have many, many, many flaws. We have a sinful nature, and there's just like for every good thing we have to do, for every inclination that is in our soul, because God has programmed us that way. There is a sinful inclination, an inclination to be lazy, an inclination to reject God, an inclination to just live emptily. So we should like defeat those inclinations in ourselves, and we should always try to improve and self-educate ourselves. And one of the reasons that I know that is because not only has my father always been repeating this and my mother, but they practice what they preach. Even in their free time, they watch documentaries and they are listening to different news sites and analysis of things, and listening to different pastors and listening to all types of things. Like my mom, she's a pastor, and it's pretty stable for her. But she listens to court cases, and she listens to motivational speakers and to different talks, from everything to scientific to futuristic, to like predictions to the future of science, and from like court cases for like to friends. And that's all because she's so hungry for knowledge, because she wants to improve herself in every way, and she wants to be ready for anything that life might throw at her. And my parents encourage us to do that too. So yeah, I'm also getting into the habit of that too, because before, like when I had free time, I'd like to not do work, especially if I had done my homework. I'd just like to, like watch kids' cartoons or something like that. But recently, I'm coming to like try to develop myself, especially towards my goals. When I have free time, try to watch more documentaries, try to educate myself on just all spheres of life, and to read books, and to come up with what's all right. And that's all because I have the example of my parents and my brothers and sisters too, of course. Like my sister, she will always dig very deep, especially when it concerns her passions like art and music. She'll always learn like the background story of a written song, even if it's not like, even if the author doesn't explicitly state it, she'll go out of her way to learn it. She'll learn like about the author, and she'll learn like how they sing, what notes they sing. And I think that's really amazing and inspiring, because she could do so many things in her time, and she could just listen to the music. I mean, like, that's just what you normally do when you like music. But she even researched the scientific part of it, and the part of it where you have to read, not just enjoy listening to it. And that's, I think, very, very admirable.
Okay. You go ahead. I want to encourage everybody listening to this. If you need to cough off, you might need to do that. I want to encourage anybody watching this to go ahead and share the link. You have a free a share link under your video, and many of you have seen. I see have not shared the link yet. You have the freedom to go and do that. If you look under the video, you'll be able to share the link to this video. You'll be able to share the link to the video. So look under the video, and you'll see the share link. Your smartphone or iPad or whatever you are using will tell you how to share the link. So let's go ahead right now and share the link before we go ahead. Pearl I just shared with us one of the points she has learned in her 14 years of life. So I'm sure she has some more exciting things for us to share with us, the wisdom she has learned in a short time of living here in this family and on this God's earth. Okay, bro, here we go.
Also, so my first lesson was always try to improve yourself and to self-educate yourself. And my second lesson is be an upstart. Always take up opportunities. So be an upstart is something that I took like more explicitly from like Daddy's retreats and HMTs, because there you had teachings, you took notes, and then you had assignments to do. And Daddy was always encouraging us.
Retreats, tell them that's HMT.
Because
we call it retreat, but they know it as HMT.
Okay, Daddy's HMTs. And on HMTs, you have teachings, and you have to take notes, and sometimes you watch videos. You have lots of different great pastors teach, and then you have assignments to do. You just have to answer some questions or give some speculations. Well, it's like it's like in school. And so Daddy is always encouraging us to raise our hands when the question is asked, and to like go the extra mile when we are being ask something. So like usually when you're asked a question, and this is something I do too, you just give an answer. It doesn't have to be like all fleshed out. You can just give a one sentence answer or a two sentence answer, or at least or at most a paragraph answer, because like we don't really want to do work like the way we are. We don't really want to do work anyway, and it's just one question. So we shouldn't write like 3 pages for one question. But I wanted to do my best because Daddy was encouraging us, and because the Bible says do everything as if you're doing it unto the Lord. So I do things like with research from all over the internet and using pictures and just like making it kind of interactive and like putting my opinion but also other people's opinions, then my conclusion from their opinion, and then I get good results on the HMT, and like I would learn things for myself too. And my mom says that you're already doing it, so why shouldn't you do your best? I mean, even if you like do a very lackluster job and it's just horrible, that doesn't mean you're going to get out of doing it. In the end, like I think you'll regret not doing your best that time. So I think that you should always be doing your best. And I have a quote for that because Augmandino, which is a famous American writer, said, "Always do your best. What you plant now, you will harvest later." And I think that's true. And sometimes when we think we don't want to do work, that we already did something before, we're just being selfish and we're only thinking about ourselves. And we all know that selfishness is not a good trait. I've never heard it being used as a positive word before. So like, let's all try to improve ourselves, to self-educate ourselves, and to get rid of this harmful trait in our hearts. Oh wait, I actually went to another opportunity. Sorry, I actually went to another point. That was my second point. I was talking about opportunities, but then I was talking about being an upstart and taking opportunities. But I kind of merged another point with that. And my point was like always do your best and always do a thorough quality work. And my mom always says to leave places.
So finish the one with the upstart then, with the opportunity and the upstart. To start again with that one, with the upstart.
I should start again?
With the upstart.
All right. So, be an upstart and always take opportunities. Well, yeah, Daddy was always encouraging us to be an upstart and just do our very best, the very best work we could do when in life and in that HMT. So because of that, I was always trying to take the
upstart, okay, go ahead.
Like just jump out and take the initiative to like do extra work and to help and to just always be raising my hand, and that's a trait that's been developed in me because of what Daddy has because of how Daddy has influenced us. And also to always take opportunities. Opportunities only come, many opportunities only come once in your lifetime. And if you don't take them, then that's really just a mistake, because you can't return lost time. And time is life, and nobody wants to waste your life. Nobody just thinks, okay, my goal in life is to waste it. Because life is a precious resource, and we don't want to just squander it. So always take opportunities. Like even if it seems like it's gonna take a lot of work or something, like seriously, do we think that we're going to get anything done in life without work? We shouldn't be always so scared of work all the time, always so scared of problems all the time. We should be looking for problems, because we can get so many great things from problems. And my last point was that opportunities you should always take opportunities, and you should be an upstart. And my next point is that problems are but a packaged blessing. And this is a message I began to hear more as I was getting older, and at first it was kind of confusing me. I mean, I take notes on what Daddy said, and And like I vaguely remember how he said these things before, but like even though the examples he was giving were very true and they had really good substance, my brain would still kind of accept this problems or blessing thing as a joke, because problems and blessings, that's the opposite. Blessings are like when you magically get something that's exactly what you want, you become prosperous without doing anything, and and just everything goes your way. And problems are when bad things happen. Problems are when you have to put your brain to work until your poor head hurts. Problems are when you have to find a solution to them, when you have to actually do something, and you have to like worry about stuff, and you have to think your way around things, and nobody likes that. But now that we were thinking about it, what is life if it's just blessings? Like, really, it makes no sense that you live a life and you have no obstacles in that life. Nobody lives a life like that. Even children, when they're crawling on the floor, they might lose their pacifier, or they might trip over a toy. It's impossible to live a life without problems. But the reason that they're a blessing is because, first of all, if you don't have problems, then you'll definitely never be able to survive, like in the real world, and when you do get trials and tribulations in life, and you will get trials and tribulations in life, because it says in the first verse in first chapter of James that it is trials and tribulations that create steadfastness. But so when you get problems, they secretly develop you. And also, like, for example, if you have a leaky roof, you fixed one, and then you checked the whole house, and you saw that they that maybe there were more leaky places in the roof, and you prevented other unpleasant situations just because of that one problem. Won't you say that that's a good thing? Like, people say that necessity is the mother of invention, but like, let's just think deeper into that saying. Like, people needed a better form of transportation than horses, and so what came? Cars. And do you think that cars are a problem? But they came because of a problem, because horses can't do what cars do. And so we should be thankful to problems, and we should be looking for problems, not only because we want to become famous or make a great invention, not because of that, but because because the world has problems, and we have Christ on our side, and we have diligence, we have resources, we have our body, and we can solve those problems. And when we solve people's problems, that's just a really very good way to introduce them to the love of the Lord. Because I see that many people are confused about it nowadays, how you bring people to the Lord. Some people try to do it violently, some people try to do it by saying you'll go to hell and condemning people. But I think that for God's kingdom, we should be able to put in effort. So I think it's really not strange to solve people's problems as sample of God's kingdom, because Jesus did that too. Of course, he taught about God's kingdom, but it was really hard for them to grasp. So he gave the parables, and he did miracles. And I don't think he did miracles to show off. After all, it says in the Bible that God detests pride. I think he did it because, like, by solving problems, you show them what a blessing the kingdom of God is. And we're also blessed because like, Amazing Grace goes like that God saved a wretch like me, and I once was blind. And like, it's because we have problems and God helps us through them that our relationship with God is developed. So like, problems are a really, really, really big blessing. I'm really glad I had problems. Like I won't say I'm glad about all problems. Like, I wish I was more obedient sometimes, and I wish I didn't have to neglect my I wish I hadn't had neglected my homework and troubled my parents, and just been so completely rebellious, and just ignored all my values. But still, I think that has balanced out and really, really, really helped me propel me closer to God and closer to my family. And like I said at the beginning of this broadcast, I really am so satisfied right now. I'm not in need of everything. It's just like it says in the Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. And if you want something, of course, you have a problem. And sometimes you go through the valley of the shadow of death, which is a problem. But we have God, and that is why we have no right to be scared of problems. Like, be strong and courageous. Just problems are just a little thing compared to God. Like, seriously, even the word problem is just little. It's just, when you think of problem, like, I don't think of like a looming wall. I just think of like something that's dirty and needs to be cleaned.
Yeah.
And like, nobody will just like...
Brilliant. That's well said. Well said.
Thank
Brilliant.
you.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should just run from dirt to let your floor, let your whole life become dirty. You know, just take some effort, clean it up, and what you plant now, you will harvest later. I think you won't regret it.
Good.
Thank you. So that was my fourth point. Also, my fifth point is that you should take the hard way first, or you should go the mile. So, well, this is kind of easy to explain, but it's also kind of hard to explain. In life, you get chances to do many things, and there's lots of things you must do. For example, when you're going to school, you have to do your homework and all of that. And usually you'd like to just do your homework and then be done with it, or just like listen to what the teacher said, then forget it over summer break. And that's what you usually do. And basically, you're not expected to do more. But you know, I have a quote from an unknown person, unfortunately, but it says that excellence is not being the best, it's giving your best. And you know, it's true. It's backed up by facts, because like, my mother told me that people that do excellent in school, people that are considered like geniuses, like among their like age group and stuff, they didn't like necessarily like go through some strenuous like military tier brain program to make their brains that develop. No, I think that everybody's brains can do the same things as long as you're not mentally impaired. And even if you're mentally impaired, you can still do great things. I think they just did like 1% or 5% more than the others, and that's how they achieved excellent results. So really, nobody wants to do more work than they want to. Everybody wants to get to the point where you can finally watch that funny video, or you can finally just play with your friends, and I understand that feeling. But you know, after all, like, I'll say from my personal life that if I'll do my best right now, and I get, for example, excellent grades in all of my subjects, then like that will go on my transcript because I'm in high school, and I'll have way more opportunities to go into college, and it will be way more easier to go to the career I want to. But for example, if I neglect my work now and am watching just like some movies, then in the future, what will those movies give me? Well, I'll have some good quotes to tell friends of, I guess, but like, what company will I be living in if I can't get a degree, if I can't graduate from high school? God told us to stay away from bad company. So not only will I be sinning by, not doing my best unto the Lord and not listening to my parents and to the authorities at school, but I'll also be sinning because like I'll just create an environment where I can only like be the lowest, where I can only be the tail and not the head. And that's what you do when you want to engage in ephemeral pleasures rather than giving your best, even if it's really, really annoying at that very moment. Like with math, like I really have had many struggles with math, and like I really don't always feel like doing my best, but math isn't that bad. Like when I tried to do my best on it, and when I got help from my mom, I saw that it isn't that bad, and if I really do try hard, I can do it. Like, I'm not mentally impaired or anything. I go to a Christian school. Like, nobody bullies me there. I really don't have any hindrances. So it's just kind of an insult to people that do. If I'm just going to to neglect math or any other of my other subjects, but especially math, because like that's a subject that you can't part with. You always have it from kindergarten to 12th grade. So you have to just do your best in it, and so to be excellent, I think you have to give your very best at the work you're doing, and then later, I'm sure you'll be rewarded. And even if you were just such a workaholic that you had no time to work on earth, I think that God will reward your diligence in heaven. I think God that really loves diligence, and I think that He's diligent and that His Son is diligent. So just like think with your eyes set on heaven, not what's material right now, but on heaven, because all the fun times you had watching YouTube videos, in a few years you're like, maybe not in a few years, but later you'll regret wasting that time. Later you'll be thinking, if only I had. And regret is a lot more painful. It's a lot more painful than just being disciplined that one time and going towards your goal. And like, I'm still just 14 years old, but even I just hate that feeling of thinking regret, of thinking, if only I had done that then, if only I had done that then. And I think that we should stop before it's too late.
Well, I want you all to know that you can go ahead and share the video. Take the chance, take the opportunity. If you are thinking that you are learning anything, and maybe you think your children might be able to learn one or two things from what Pearl is saying, you might want to go and share the video now. Just look under this video recording, and you see share, link or share button. Press it, and then you could share it with your family or with your friends. And of course, you could be able to watch this later on if you have any desire to. All right, Ms. Pearl, what was the next? How many points have you given us?
5, I think.
Okay, what was the next one?
So the next point is that my 6th point is that you should construct plans, and you should consider your future when that should be a habit of yours. And I have a quote from Miles Davis, which is who is a jazz musician. I'm always thinking about creation. My future starts when I wake up in the morning and see the light. And everybody should know that a goal without a plan is just a wish. And we don't live in a world of wishes. We need to strive towards our goal, not just a thought. And so what has taught me this is that I'm naturally very disorganized, and so even though I have many things I can do and many resources, sometimes just because I don't think about my day, what I'll do, I end up wasting time that I should have been spending doing other things, or even if I am not forced to do those things, it would have been so much better if I had spent that time writing, or at least planning something out. But instead I spent that time doing something that took way too much time and wasn't fulfilling at all. So I think that you should always try to schedule your day. And I'm not organized enough to schedule my day to the minute all the time. On holidays, I can kind of do that, and during school, I think it's easier to do that. But sometimes unexpected things happen there too. So it's hard for me. But at least just write the things that you need to do and the things that you better do to get closer to your goal in order, and just try to check them off that list. Or even when I set my alarm clock, I try to set a reminder with it, what I have to do first thing in the morning, and the most important thing I had to do either at school today or during that day, because I'm liable to forget, I'm liable to try and entertain myself instead of doing that. But you have to live a life that's going towards your goal, and living an aimless life is never a good thing. Jesus did not live an aimless life. None of our Bible heroes, none of the heroes of our history books or of our nations lived aimless lives. So they all worked towards their goals, and they all had plans of what they wanted to do. So just start planning today, even if it's amateur. Just make this habit, because habits are just like what will carry you to your future, to your success, that will change your character, transform it in a bad way. And if you had bad habits of procrastinating, then you should really be trying to break those down, and to try to plan, and never to procrastinate. Because like it's really just like bad when you have a plan where you've already like promised yourself you're going to do this, and it's like 4 o'clock and you're supposed to start doing your homework, but you're like, no, I'll wait a little bit. That's wrong. That's really wrong. Don't lie to yourself. Don't like make your effort be for nothing. I really would like to laze around a lot too, but excellence is not being the best. It's about giving your best. So do your best and try harder to be organized. Schedule your priorities and make sure that your wish, your thought becomes a goal.
What number 7 now?
Yeah, my 7th point is that failure is a necessity, and my quote is from Bram Stoker. We learn from failure and not from success. And another quote from Jack Canfield, who is a motivational speaker and a writer and an entrepreneur, a very successful person, that don't worry about failures, worry about the chances you miss when you don't even try. And that almost applies to all of my points, but it still applies to this a lot, that failure is a necessity. So of course when you fail, it seems like you've fallen and that's the end, and you just can't do anything because like you failed and now you're a failure. But that's not true. It says in the Bible, for all have fallen short of his glory. And it doesn't say, for that you will go to hell and you're going to die, so give up. You're a failure. Nothing good will happen if you failed once. That's not true. A quote from an unknown person is that giving up on your goal because of one setback is like slashing your other 3 tires because you got one flat. Really, it's ridiculous. Ever since your childhood, you've been failing, of course. Like, maybe you failed to pronounce a word, or maybe you failed on one math problem. What if you give up on that? Then you'll always be speaking, like if you're trying to speak English, but you never try to improve your pronunciation, nobody will understand what you're saying, and you'll always have a horrible accent. And like if you don't correct your math, if you don't like even try to see what your problem is, then you'll just like always have a bad grade in English. That will reflect on what colleges will accept you and all of that, and it will have a very negative effect on your future. So failure is a necessity because every time you fall, you can analyze what made you fall, and when you get up, you get a little stronger, because if it doesn't challenge you, then it won't change you. It's if you are just experiencing success after success, what if you just get your feet off the ground? What if you get too prideful and then you fall? Like, my father showed me the documentary of Justin Fashanu, which was a really, really successful soccer player, and he just had a bright future ahead of him. But he got too full of himself. He just started getting obsessed with this material things, with money, with women, with bars, with just all these sexual relations, and in the end he just died at a young age. And of course he's not the only celebrity who's done things like that. And So it's good that sometimes we have failure, maybe to bring us back to earth, and like it's good that we have failure because it's good that we have failure because though because if we're able to convert that into energy, into the right energy, then that will be able to propel us towards our success. And of course it will make it feel better when we have succeeded.
Do you need some water? Okay. Well, for those people who are watching us, and if you have not yet shared this message, please be free to do that. And you can go and get a copy of the message while we keep on listening to some other points that Pro might be having. So what's your next point?
That self-pity is an extremely harmless, negative, and harmful state. Also, that you shouldn't let Satan control you using negative thinking. So, of course, it's good if you're able to acknowledge your faults. But, like, if you're just, like, beating yourself up and you're saying that you're horrible, you'll never be able to do anything, then you're just lying to yourself. Because, like, just because you failed once, that's never an excuse to just give up and start just crying over yourself, crying over the world, and just like giving up. But not only giving up, but like just staying in one place. Like you're beating yourself up because you've fallen down, but now you're in self-pity and you're just like not letting yourself get up from that place. You're just blaming everyone and you're just killing your progress. You're killing your goal, and you're wasting your time, and you're killing yourself because you're just in complete absorption, and you don't. And at this point, it's like, how are you going to get up if you're just thinking about yourself and your failure? That's not your goal. Your goal is not to become yourself again, or to have your head always full of failure. So just like shake it off, because fall down seven times, stand up 8. But when you're in self-pity, first of all, that's a great state for Satan to control you with. He can just do horrible things to you. He can cause you to suicide or to attack other people out of your emotions. And like, you shouldn't let your emotions control you. That's not a point of mine, but you should never let your emotions control you. You should always have a philosophy that's backing you up. You should always have logical thinking on, because and you should always know that God in heaven is watching over you, and that you have and you shouldn't be self-pitying yourself. You should be trying to perfect yourself. So, no, that was 7. Well, that was kind of a merging of 2 points, so 8 points. That you should be moving a little bit towards your goal every day. I think that this is more of a like practical advice more than like the other ones, but like this is just something that I've been trying to do in my life recently. Something that Dad said a lot, but like the things that are on your mind all the time, I think they should be like, how can you get closer to your goals through the situation? Or if you have free time, then like, what should you be doing in order to get closer to your goals and develop yourself so you can become the type of successful person you see yourself as when you've achieved your goal. Like I said before, I used to try to entertain myself whenever I had free time, but now I'm thinking that I have to be like getting more into the mood of writing and studying the Bible and all these other things that I'm interested in. And so because of that, I spend less time on tasteless stuff, and I watch more history videos, and I watch more political videos and philosophical videos, and like videos about writing and videos about how to spend your free time and not how to kill it. And so I think that whenever you I think that's why it's important to plan out a day, because one day in your life, it's just a picture of your whole life, and that's why you should be trying to progress just a little bit, at least a little bit, towards your goal each day, so that you can make a habit of going towards your goal each day, and eventually you'll get there. But if you don't have a habit of going towards your goal, if you're just thinking of your goal, then it's very, very it's not very likely that you'll get there if you're just thinking about it. So just like start by taking little steps, by getting to your goal, just like reading one book or starting one book about it, or just like spending like 30 minutes a day just studying it or practicing it. And very I think that's a very good habit to develop. Ninth point is that you should. Oh wait, I already said that. Well, yeah. Our family motto is to take the hard way first, and that's also something that I've remembered through my life. Usually, you take the easy way, and of course, you have to be rational and not like always just be complicating things for yourself because you're not thinking well. But doing the hard way first is just
Our
acting.
family, what explain by that?
Well, like that's just something that Daddy told to me. That our family motto is always take the hard way first, and like
So our family motto.
And like I think that taking the hard way first means that doing the opposite of what the flesh tells you to. Because the flesh is always trying to indulge in greed and pleasure and laziness, and like sometimes when we work, even if we think that we're doing something good, we're doing something productive, we're actually at the end of the goal of the work is to finish the work so that we can go indulge in all of these pleasures again. But that's not how we should be thinking. And it's hard to think that way, but we should think about how it will benefit our future, and we should think about how this will help us towards our goal. And like, there's lots of things in this world, there's lots of situations in this world, but I think that when you are taking the hard way first, you're putting others before yourself. Like Daddy said that people warned him of people trying to use him. But he said, like, let them use me, let them trample me like a carpet if it's to get to the Lord. And I think that's a really great thing. So I think that you should always be like educating yourself, even though it would be easier to just get just like the minimum of education and to just get by with that. I think you should always be planning out your day, even though it would be easier to do everything just improvised. I think you should always be like trying to spread the kingdom of God and build the kingdom of God, even though it would be just a lot more easier to repeat your religious creeds and show yourself in the church. It really is easier to do that, and it sometimes is even embarrassing to be an active member of the kingdom of God. But I think that what like they say, other people say, like on this physical life, like it's basically worth nothing. Like if they're criticizing you for following the truth of the Lord, because like talk is cheap in general. But like if you're going to choose over the kingdom of God, your reward in heaven, and what some critics say, like I think the choice is obvious. I think even if like it's degrading to you, even if it feels hurtful right now, you should take the hard way in that situation, and you will harvest what you have sown. And 10th point is that you should serve God and others. You should serve God and others. And well, like this is something that like really stuck to me ever since I read it in Daddy's book, that he said that he wanted to be remembered as a man who served God and people. And like I've always been thinking, like, what does it mean to serve God and others? And I think that it means to put others before yourself, to put yourself in others' shoes, because we really love to judge, and we really love to see people as relative to ourselves, or like lower to ourselves, to make ourselves feel higher. Like, I also have a problem with judging. Like, sometimes I just like have all these random thoughts about them, and it's not important and it's not important at all, because just like Martin Luther King said, I want to live in a world where little children are judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And I think that you should like always be putting yourselves into other people's shoes, and think about others first and not about yourself. And I think that what it means to serve God is to have God as your number one priority. And I know that that's actually pretty hard, and especially in this world. Like, in this world we have so many resources and we have such an easy life, but of course there's backlash to that. There's the fact that there's so many material things that are flashy and they look enticing and they look more reliable than God, and that's not true. But since our flesh is like pulling us towards these things, sometimes it's hard to put God as the first priority, and it's so easy to put God on the sidelines. It's so easy to just live a life exactly like an unbeliever, but just to like put it in a Christian frame. So you're going to watch the movies that they're watching. You're doing everything they do, but like maybe you don't use bad words. Or like you're doing everything that they do, but maybe you try to lie a little bit less. And like of course it's good. That's good. And like of course it's good that you're following your morals, but like of course that's not what Jesus did. And we always say that we're followers of Christ and we're trying to be like Christ. And we always say, what would Jesus do? And I really don't think that Jesus would go watch all these movies that are R18 and have all these distracting and just like content and trash in them, but then like go to church and talk about how you've really heard the voice of God this week and all of that stuff, because that's just being hypocritical. That's just like enjoying all the blessings God has given us, but like forgetting about God in the process. And like in the end, even though you were living with God, you wouldn't have been walking with Him, and you would have lived a life for material things, not for God.
Meanwhile, if you have not yet shared the video, please go ahead and feel free to share the video for this program. Maybe it could be a blessing to your children or to you. So go ahead and share the video. Okay, let's go, Paul.
Okay. The last point is that in order to like do so many things in life, to achieve goals, to hear God's voice, to improve yourself, so many things in life, you'll need like focus, and you'll need 100% concentration. And that's something I have a problem with. I tend to drift away and to like have my own world and to space out and to think about like other things when I'm supposed to be thinking about one thing. So like you really have to like beat it into yourself that you have to be concentrated, that you have to be focused. And sometimes you won't just need focus, that you like be able to just think only about this thing for like 10 minutes and then write something. No, you'll need like 100% concentration, where all of your whole body is involved in just that one topic, just so that you're just like taking in the information from like every single outlet. And that's really just seems hard, and it really just seems uncomfortable, but you really have to do that if you really love God, and if you really want to achieve your goals, and if you really want to improve yourself. And Daddy's done that so many times in his life. He told me about how when there was preachers better than him, when there were preachers that were just like at a so much higher level than him, that he just like lock himself in like solitude, and he would like listen to all their sermons, and he would learn how they spoke, what they spoke, how God spoke to them, and then he'd like be able to even surpass them. And of course that's taking the hard way, and of course that would take 100% concentration, and like I don't think I really do have the 100% concentration at this point in time. I think I can kind of focus on things for a long time, but like sometimes I do tend to drift off, and sometimes it is a problem when I have to like do an essay or like a homework that takes a long time. But like I'm trying to improve yourself, and like let's try it together because like we get disoriented sometimes. We get mixed up in all the stress of the world. We get our priorities mixed up. But I think that if we're with God, God can show us how we can become more focused, how we can become more concentrated. And Daddy has his teachings on it, and he has his books on it. And like we can just start by trying to focus on our homework, trying to focus on what this passage of the Bible says. Just try to develop focus and 100% concentration in yourself.
So what teaching did you say Dad had?
What teaching?
Oh, what you were saying, I had this teaching in one of my. We just said something like that. Dad has this teaching.
Dad has his teachings on focus, and he has his books on focus.
Ah, okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so 12 is that like the truth will always come to the surface. Well, that's just like a call to like live honestly and to like try to always find the truth and try to like not just like believe what's comfortable for you or like pick out information, but like to try to hear both sides and to try to be honest in your opinion and like try not to lie to other people. And like there's lots of like things I can say about it, but like first of all, like you can try to hide things and you can try to like live a sinful life, but try to hide it. But like first of all, God is watching, and you're dishonoring God by living a life like that. But maybe you just don't honor God, or maybe you just like don't care about God anymore, or you don't believe in God anymore. Maybe you're hiding it from someone, maybe you're hiding it from your family. But that doesn't mean that you have the right to lie, that you have the right to live a dishonest life and to be deceptive, because in the end you'll be punished, even if you aren't punished in earth. And like when you lie, it does have an effect on your body, because of course like a bad feeling will settle in your conscience until you've completely eradicated it. But it's never a good thing to eradicate your conscience, and I think you'll know that when you stop hearing it. And even if it happens that the truth doesn't when like during your lifetime, that doesn't mean that even if you don't believe him, that doesn't mean that God won't punish you. So like try to live a truthful life. It's hard sometimes. Like sometimes you just lie like this and you don't even think didn't make a sound. Sometimes you just lie momentarily and you don't even think about it. But try to clarify, try to think before you speak. And when you're in a situation where there's just lots and lots and lots of stories flying from both sides, try to listen to both sides. Try to consult what you know, like people who you trust, the Bible. Try to pray to God and try to listen to both sides. Because I know my dad has been accused of many things, and like recently even my brother has had so many accusations from journalists from Nigeria. And so like so like you should always be looking for the truth, and you should always be looking at both sides of the story too. Because like sometimes when I'm reading political stuff and then when I'm reading news, like I just know that this is a person this like article is written by like, let's say, a communist, and I really don't want to read it because like I already know what it will say. But that doesn't mean that I can just be disrespectful to these random people, because they do have something that I don't have. They do have experiences that I don't have. And like if I'm truly searching for the truth, if I'm truly searching for the truth, not just creating a comfortable bubble for myself and not just like slightly self-pitying myself, then I should be able to like look at both sides of the argument and then find my conclusions from both sides of the argument. Because like even if an article is written by somebody whose opinion is completely different from mine, there's still facts there, and there's still things I can learn about the people that with that type of ideology. So if I encounter them, I can know what to say to them. But like in some cases, you're just going to ignore and avoid these people, and like you're gonna miss many opportunities that way. And if life thrusts you into a situation where you're like surrounded in those people, for example, like what will you do? So
You have nothing to say.
So yeah, you should always be seeking the truth, because, for example, Christ is the truth, the way, and the love. So if we're seeking the truth in our spiritual sphere, and God is our priority, then we should, seek the truth in all human affairs also. So that was 12, I think. And number 13. All right. So number 13 is that you should be searching for your calling, you should be searching for your purpose, and you should not be wasting your life on empty things. Because there's many people today that want to live an average life. There's many people today that think that they were called to do nothing. But really, that's not true. Because, I think I've said this before, but, humans, have something that I really just can't call luck. We're just seriously blessed. We're born onto this planet that is just, perfectly engineered for us. And, of course, there's some problems now with holes opened in, the ozone layers. But, it wasn't made like that with holes in the ozone layer. We kind of made those holes. And, the ratio of oxygen is perfect. There's so much water for us here. And, on no other planet is there enough water for all of us. There's enough... in most countries, there's enough space for all of us, even though there's a whole 7 billion of us, and that's really, really amazing. So, and I think that life itself is when you're thinking about that, thinking about the whole universe, and that we have access to it, that we can just fly into space and stuff, and that we can live on this beautiful and basically perfect planet. Can you really just say that life is just here by chance, that it's just a shrapnel of an explosion? And even if you believe that for that reason you should just be having fun, and you shouldn't try to do anything special during that time, when lots of people want to live an average life, and I find this very, very strange, because everybody says things oh, these rich people have it so easy, these successful people always have these connections, if only I was like them. But they do nothing at all to try and go above the average. And that's really, really strange. Why would you want to be a tail and not a head? I was reading in 1984 that there was almost always 3 classes of people: high, middle, and low. And
What is 1984?
1984 is a dystopian novel. It's kind of satire of fascism and communism, but it's a very serious story. It's
Who wrote it?
George Orwell. It's a very serious story about 3 super states that are constantly at war, and they deprive their citizens of many things. They lie to their citizens, and all of the history books they write, all of the news reports they make are full of contradictions. But they make the people believe all of these things somehow, and anyone who doesn't believe in that is eliminated, is vaporized, is made to have never existed in that world. So it's a really, really scary world. And a person that was making an analysis of how wrong this world was saying that there's 3 classes, the high, the middle, and the low. And the high always are trying to stay in their position of highness. The middle are always trying to overthrow the high, and the low are trying to like make everybody equal so that they can also feel high. But like right now, people that are in the middle or in the low, even though they have so many things that they can do in the world, even though like even people with no hands and no legs have become successful, they're just saying, oh, I can't do anything because I don't have as much money as that next guy, and they just give up. Like even before experiencing a major setback, they just like steal their fate away from themselves and live a life of mediocrity just because they're lazy, really. And that's really wrong. Life is like just the greatest resource we have, but we can only have it once, and then we have the afterlife, but like that won't influence what happens on earth. So please don't waste this resource. Anyone can become great. So like at least do your best in something. Do your very best in something. Don't just give up and then just be complaining, oh, look at all these bills I have to pay. Oh, school is so unpleasant. Like you haven't even tried to do anything that you're complaining about how you can't be successful. You haven't even like gotten up after your last fall. And you're complaining about being like so poor and being so unsuccessful. So please just like keep trying and do your best. And, like don't embarrass all the heroes of our history books, all the heroes of our Bible, and all the people that have become great despite disabilities and despite oppression.
Do you know the other book that John Orwell wrote?
I forgot the title.
You only read one of his books, huh?
Yeah, I only read one.
I would advise you to go and read the second one. 1984 is not bad. That's good. It's one of the best. But the one you will really have fun reading, which is easier a little bit, is called The Animal Farm.
Oh yes, I know about that. I want to read. Read that one after 1984. I've read like a review of it and how it's about the animals overthrew their human owners, and that it's a very very vivid metaphor for like what happens in what happened like during the rise of fascism and during the rise of Stalinism and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. What's your last lesson? I think, or what's number 14?
Okay. So my last lesson is that we should have my priorities straight, and I have an extra lesson too. And like you should have your priorities straight. Like it's just 4 words. It seems really simple, but it's not. And like even if you get your priorities straight once, even if you like know what it should be, first of all, it's hard to put into action. And even if you do put it into action, and you're like every day you're following the schedule, sometimes something can happen, and it can like knock the wind out of you, and you can get confused again, or maybe you can just like every day be getting a little bit distracted, or maybe you can be straying off the path little by little, and before you know it, your priorities will have gotten jumbled up again. Like I'm 14 years old, and the distinction between physical, material, and spiritual, and like invisible was like kind of hard to learn for me. So like it was pretty hard to keep God as my priority when there were especially since like when you're younger, first of all you're thinking mostly about yourself, and the things that you want for yourself are just physical things. Like now that you think about it, the most important things are invisible things. Even like being happy and feeling love and feeling like full, those are invisible things. You can't just like take some love and say, oh, here's some love for you, like take some happiness, here's some happiness for you. You can't do that. You can't see it. And like so it's pretty simple to understand that the invisible things are the most important things, but at the same time it's hard because your flesh, it wants material things, it wants them now, it wants to feel good now, and it convinces you that happiness, that love, that all these invisible things, that all these ideas that are the most important things are actually in this physical things, are actually in this food. And like that's kind of where addictions come from and stuff. Like maybe because you're running away from your problems, which is something you shouldn't do. You're listening to your flesh, for your priorities, and so you're focusing on material things. And the problem is that humans are inclined to worship because that's how God made us. So like we'll always be looking for something to rely on, but material things will always betray people. When you idolize them, sooner or later you'll see that they did something wrong, that they have an opinion different from yours, and some people just like get heartbroken when that happens. It's like it's really dangerous when you have your priorities as material things, because like just when like one thing betrays, then like all of your priorities will collapse, and what will happen then? So, and like God tells people to let the dead bury the dead, and like people say like, what a horrible like sentence, Jesus, that he is telling people to love him more than their family. But there's these cases where love just turns to hate, and it's like ridiculous. But for example, let's say a wife is idolizing her husband, and even if the husband is doing her best, one day he just makes a mistake. And what happens then? The wife who saw the husband as a deity begins to hate this fake husband that isn't perfect, and so she's beginning, and so her whole image of him is shattered, and the love for her image of him, not for the real person, not for the real flawed person, but for the image which had replaced her real love, or maybe the real love never existed, then it disappears, and love turns to hate, and the relationship is just completely ruined. But what if God is the priority of that family? Do you really think that such things will happen? When God tells us to do things, he's not telling us to do them just because he is so selfish and he wants to be worshipped that badly, or because he wants humans to be suffer that badly. Like when people were making fun of Christianity, they said that God was like, oh, you have to be like me just because I said so. But that's really not true, because we're just programmed in a way where it's better for us, where when we work hard to be like God, then we're happier, then we're living life better, then we have a purpose in life. And even if we say that we don't have one, or we want to live an average life, we all do want something to strive for. And most people are just becoming hedonistic these days, or stoic, and just saying, oh, I'll just take anything, or oh, I just want pleasure, always to be pleasured. But you should have your priorities straight, and God should be your number one priority. Or at least, if you refuse to acknowledge God, then you should have a goal as your number one priority, and you should not rely completely on material things, because they will betray.
Good. No, you say you have an extra lesson.
Oh yeah.
If you want to give us that, before we do that, let me quickly tell everybody that is watching that you are free to go and make a copy to share this message, and that's the way you get a copy. If you want to have to watch it again, or you just want to have a copy for yourself, you just go and press the share button. Once you share it, you get a copy automatically. So Pearl is 14 today, and so that's what the program is dedicated to. So she has given us 14 lessons of her life. I think she actually gave more, but she still has more to give to us. So let's hear what else she has to say.
So my last point, I guess my 15th point, is that you should strive to be the best at what you're doing. And I think that you could get that from all the other things I've said, but nevertheless, I think that it's important. Before, Daddy said that we should strive to be the best at what we're doing, especially because we're Christians. And I registered what he said, and I remembered what he said, but as for application, no, I can't say that I really did that. Because I knew that it was a good idea, but I thought that it was a kind of useless idea too, because first of all, most of the places where there's competition are Christian societies anyway. The places where I mostly go are school, and then church, and then I have my home, and I have some extracurricular activities. But those extracurricular activities, like some of them just I started doing this year, or some of them I really don't go that often, so like they don't seem important in my life. So I never thought that I actually had to, try hard to go out of my way to be the best at everything, because like I really didn't want to. I just wanted to do work at my own pace and then play the rest of the time. But that's not how you should you should be doing. And of course, people usually say you should do your best because it says in the Bible to do the best unto the Lord. And like that is a good verse, and like you should always remember that verse. But I think that repeating that verse to me didn't actually help me to try my best. Like when I remembered that verse and I wasn't trying my best, I just like felt really guilty. So then my mood would get down, and then I just like do my work even worse because my mood was ruined. And like since that verse was repeated over and over and over again, I felt like it like meant nothing at this point, and like as if they were trying to manipulate me by that verse that meant like nothing now. But if what you plant now, you will harvest later. I've said that like 5 times, but it's true. It really is true. So like you should do your best, and like everybody wants to be the top. Everybody wants to do their best, and so like everybody wants to be the best, but you won't do that without effort. So try again, and especially since we are the witnesses and friends of Jesus Christ on this earth, let's just show them what we can do. Everything is possible through Christ who empowers us. So just like let's do our best. And I have a quote from Nelson Mandela to finish up my lessons, and that is, "It always seems impossible until it's done."
How do you understand that?
Well, when we have a goal, sometimes we won't even form goals. Like there's so many ways to apply that quote, because sometimes we won't even apply goals just because we think it will never be done. But like what scientific proof do you have to tell me that will never be done? People have been told that, and then people have broken those records, and so anything can be done. It's like you're not like a cat. It's not like you're like a bug, or that you are some type of animal that doesn't have the power that humans have over this world. Even if you're like, even if you have a physical disability, or you are poor, or you are mentally impaired, you can find out so many people that have been able to succeed despite that. Like for example, Malala, who was protesting about the Taliban's ban on education for girls. I mean, she was just a little girl, and she was in and she actually had an attempt of her life because she was like in the region that the Taliban was controlling, and yet she was protesting against them. All the odds were against her, but she got the world's support. And like, I forget his last name, sorry, or I have trouble pronouncing him. But the person with no hands, no legs, Nick Vujicic.
Yes.
He like was really miserable in his early life. He has no arms and no legs, and yet he's happy, and he's able to inspire people, and he's very successful. And so nothing really is impossible. And if you're a Christian and you are saying that things are impossible, then I think that you haven't read the Bible. And like, even if you're not a Christian and you say that things are impossible, I really don't think so. Because like, if you are going to say that that this beautiful planet and this ever-expanding universe just resulted from one explosion that resulted from a bunch of things that were really, really dense, then I really think that anything is possible. That like the most highest state of evolution in like this whole universe can do more than it seems can be done. So all you have to do is go the extra mile and do your best.
Very good, very good.
And always be changing yourself, because like I was going to say this quote at the beginning, but I forgot. like, there's a quote, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, changing myself." That is a quote from Jalal ad-Din Rumi, which was a Muslim scholar from a long time ago.
Yes. Thank you so much. You are true, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Guys, thank you very much for watching this broadcast, and thank you for celebrating my birthday with me. Thank you for all the comments that you left on me on my last broadcast, and for all the comments you left on my brother's broadcast and my sister's broadcast, and for following my daddy's Facebook page. They really mean a lot to me, and they really build me up, and they are really inspiring. And I want to thank Auntie Nosifo, if you're watching. Your letter was really great. I was pretty nervous before I came to do this. Nosipo. Before I came to do this broadcast, but your letter that highlighted all my similarities with my father and all the good things that I did in the last broadcast really helped me build up my confidence, because I was really nervous during that one too, like near the end. I thought that maybe I had stated some things that weren't right or something, and I thought that I couldn't put my thoughts into words well enough, and that I muttered too much and stuff. Well, I really thought that was a really failed one. But all of your people's nice comments and that letter for my birthday really, really did help to help me stop beating myself up. And I really want to do more book reviews now, and I want to share more things with you now. And thank you for taking all of these words out of my mouth seriously, even though I'm probably a lot younger than a lot of you. And thank you for saying that I'm able to educate other children, because it really, really makes me glad. I always have wanted to help children and to work with children, but I'm pretty childish myself. I always thought that I always was wondering how I could be able to help them, especially since I often end up playing with them rather than controlling them. So thank you for all your inspiring words. I'll definitely try harder to expand my horizons and to write better and to make my writings known to the world. So happy birthday to me, I guess. Happy old new year in Russia and Ukraine and stuff. And thank you for watching.
Good. Did you open a Facebook account for the public?
Yeah, I have a Facebook account.
Okay, and that's the one you want to use for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, can anybody write it? What's your Facebook account? Or you want?
It's Pearl ADELAJA. You sent me a friend request, just that you have your limit of friends, so I couldn't.
That's for me.
Yeah.
Okay, tell people what is it? Pearl ADELAJA, just Pearl ADELAJA.
Yeah, it's just Pearl ADELAJA.
Okay, somebody is going to write it there. Pearl ADELAJA, that's just on Facebook. So will you? Because the idea is that and Zoe has to tell us our own also.
Yeah, Zoe's is
maybe she has to come. She has
okay.
to tell us, because we don't know if she wants to open a different one or she wants to use the same one. Because I think parents, for example, open a different one just to use for public.
You think that's a good idea?
Well, yep.
Well, then maybe I'll open a separate one.
But you already gave your contact.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Oh,
you can start with that. Zoe, come, Zoe. What's your Facebook page? You want to open your Facebook and give them, you want to open a separate one, or you give them what you already have?
I'll open a separate one.
You've not done that yet. You have to do that. So what do you want to do?
Do I have a choice? Well, I think I'll also open a separate one. Maybe
Okay.
I don't know if I can open it by the same name, but I think.
Yeah, you have to open by another name.
Yeah, no problem.
You have, maybe it has to be your public page, which will be your different, whatever personality you want to come out with.
All right.
Okay. So, well, thank you so much, everyone. By the way, there is somebody here who wrote a song. Somebody told me that someone wrote a song for
I
me.
also have a poem.
You have a poem?
Yeah.
Okay, you give us your poem. What for the song?
It's a bit of a dramatic poem, even though I've been like silly this whole broadcast, but I hope that you enjoy it.
It's a bit of what? Silly
A
poem?
dramatic poem,
Dramatic.
even though I've been somewhat like really, really jolly this whole broadcast.
Okay.
So it's such a shame and such a crime to squander all of our God-given time.
Always, it has to be louder.
I'm sorry. It's such a shame and such a crime to squander all of our God-given time on fleeting laughs and ephemeral pleasures that wither and rot when in life's weather. We live our lives with dreams of a kingdom, with eyes, with ears, with hands, and the spirit. But sloth, the enemy, and fear become a limit, and we, sinful creatures, forget his sweet freedom. Awaken, O children, from this devilish stupor, with diligence and meekness, perceive his pure splendor, accept his holy love, and subdue darkness for honor, and liberate his land from their deadly slumber.
Now, I would like you to read it again, only slowly this time. One by one.
Okay. It's such a shame and such a
Just do making pauses, more longer pauses.
It's such a shame.
It's such a shame. Pause. Then the next.
It's such a shame and such a crime to squander all of our God-given time
Yes, that's the way to do it.
on fleeting laughs and ephemeral pleasures that wither and rot when in life's weather. We live our life with dreams of a kingdom, with eyes, with ears, with hands, and the spirit. But sloth, the enemy, and fear become a limit, and we, sinful creatures, forget his sweet freedom. Awaken, O children, from this devilish stupor. With diligence and meekness, perceive his pure splendor, accept his holy love, and subdue darkness for honor, and liberate his land from their deadly slumber.
Excellent. So tell us, what is the idea you are trying to pass across through that poem?
Well, I was thinking I had to make a poem on my life lessons, but I think it was mostly inspired by the latest books that I have been reading from Daddy, like The Kingdom Driven Life, and I'm finishing Insulted by Ungodliness too. So, well, when we were discussing the life of like one missionary that served in Africa, Daddy was saying that like even though we have this precious resource of life, like it's really just a shame, and I think like it's a crime that all this time that has been given to us by God, we just live it. So many people just live it emptily, and they just give it up for nothing, really just for nothing, just to like feel good sometimes, to laugh sometimes. But like when bad times come, and when, for example, like they have no internet or they can't watch something on their computer, then like where are those laughs, and is that time when you're watching a funny film now? Like you have no values and stuff. So all these like good times just wither and they rot. And like we live our life with dreams of a kingdom, so like that's kind of like a double meaning, because God made us according to kingdom laws, of course, but also everybody wants to build something, everybody wants to be great, and we dream about it. And we have eyes, we have ears, we have hands, and we have the Holy Spirit, and we have the Spirit of God. But there's also laziness, sloth, and the enemy, the devil, and fear, which is just a really great limiter, and they become a limit. And we, as sinful creature, we just accept this darkness. Even people in the church, we allow ourselves to be weighed down by fear and laziness, and we forget the sweet freedom of God. We forget how like exhilarating and fulfilling it is to like work to break down darkness through God, and we forget how like for example our ancestors worked to build up our country, or how the people that made the invention that we're wasting our lives on, for example, how they worked for it. We just like accept this darkness and we just like start living a life of laziness, even though like before, like maybe when we were little, we dreamed of like being a firefighter and like working for the benefit of others. So, awaken, no children, from this devilish stupor. And like stupor is when you're just like in a stupefied state where you're just like in stagnation. And that's like that's how the devil wants us, because idle hands are the devil's workshop. And so like we should stop this. The church should also stop this. We should like be active, and we should like break down the darkness that is closing in from all sides, and with diligence and meekness perceive his pure splendor. So like I think that diligence and meekness are very important in the kingdom of God. Faith without works is dead, but also God detests pride, and we have to give all of our faults, all of our passions, and all of our anger, and just everything that we feel. We have to submit that to God, and then we will get His revelation and become the Word that became flesh, and accept His holy love and subdue darkness for honor. Well, like, I'm trying to, cram as many kingdom principles as I can into these verses. And so, like, accept His holy love is, like, to, like, accept Jesus Christ as your Savior and live a life where only He is the priority and He is the holy thing that you worship, and subdue darkness. And subdue darkness not only in the world around you, but in yourself too, because we have a sinful nature, and God and the Holy Spirit have to transform our characters too. And when our characters are transformed, then we'll like be able to feel true honor, like the feeling of honoring God and like honoring your parents and honoring who you have to honor, but also to like be trusted by God. So like when you are engaging in this real relationship of God, then you subdue darkness, and like as a reward you kind of receive honor. Because like people say honor sometimes, like it's an honor, but like I've always felt that like honor, maybe because it's used in a biblical text and relating to God so much, is like a very like rare thing, and like it's something that like you have to like work hard to like be able to like experience like truly. So that's like the idea behind that verse. And liberate his land from their deadly slumber. Well, of course, the deadly slumber is just like a synonym to devilish stupor, and his land is the world and all of humanity, which originated from God, which are gods. They belong to God, but so many of them are strayed away from Him and are spitting on His name right now. And when we've accepted His holy love and are vowing to subdue darkness through diligence and meekness, that means that we have to liberate the world and bring it back to God, just conquer the world for God, for honor, through His love. So yeah, that's how I wrote the poem.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. I had a great session with Pearl, and Zoe was there in the beginning. And I just want to use this opportunity to say thank you for being around. I was thinking somebody wrote a poem for me, but I think we already gone over time. So I will show that tomorrow morning. I will play this song tomorrow. Not a poem, it's a song actually. It's a song. I want to know who wrote it. I still don't get it. Who wrote and sang the song. So I will find out tomorrow morning. And so have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you for being with us. Share the message, share the video, and I hope you are blessed. Thank you. Blessings. Bye.